the public confidence.
It's been 525 days since his last win, but he is always within 4 lengths off of everyone.
That's the thing. He's so consistent, and you put my...
Live from Gulfstream Park in South Florida, this is a special edition of Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Good morning and welcome to Handicappers Report / Racing Across America live from the Gulfstream Park paddock. And we can't beat this. Get out of that below freezing stretch up in New York, upstate New York. The snow we had and come down here. It's a gorgeous morning. It's actually a little muggy here this morning, but it's going to be a gorgeous afternoon leading into the Fountain of Youth card. Tomorrow should be a lot of fun. We're happy to be here live at Gulfstream. Again, thanks to our friends at Gulfstream for their great hospitality. Bopped around yesterday, got some interviews. We're going to do a little mashup of handicapper support and Racing Across America. We'll handicap for first half hour. So Terry Finley will join us at 9. Going to talk a little West Point. They've got some runners this weekend here over at Oaklawn, and we'll get a catch up on some of their other nice runners recently. So Terry Finley. Then we'll come back to a little more handicapping, some tape pieces. Caught up with Jose D'Angelo. He has Creval d'Oro in one of the stakes tomorrow. We'll talk about that and his big Breeders' Cup weekend in the fall. Chad Summers talking about Napoleon Solo. Nice interview with him. And got Johnny Velazquez as well, who has a potent runner in the Fountain of Youth, and we also talked about his really big 2025 and where he's an Eclipse finalist. And then we'll wind things up with Ron Nicoletti. So big show coming up, and we'll kick off the Handicappers Report. New man in the seat, our friend Wayne Bertrand. You may know him from the Albany-Saratoga area, a longtime educator and now a contest player and just a player overall. Wayne, good morning.
Morning, Seth. How are you?
Very good. Happy to have you on board.
Thanks for having me.
Talk contest play, and I was sitting in the teletheater out in the front half of Breeders' Cup Day, and I was following you guys, and you and the guys were playing some BC right here from Gulfstream.
We were upstairs. We had 2 entries, and we were in the thick of it right till the end. And we pushed in the last race, and we had 2 win bets, and the horses ran 3rd and 4th. And one of the guys that sort of leads the way, he was inspired by Matt Miller's book that you had on, and he's become a real disciple of it. And we've been playing along. I won a contest a couple weeks ago. I qualified for a Keeneland, Keeneland Challenge entry. Yeah, so looking forward to the Derby Trail and a contest season coming up.
So you're down here spending some time this winter, so I thought we'd plug you in here and then do a little handicapping and get at some ideas. Obviously, on today's card, we'll go through today's card and a little bit later on. Maybe we'll get some thoughts on tomorrow's Fountain of Youth and whatnot. But ready to kick in?
Sure.
All right, let's kick it off. The opener today at Gulfstream. They're going to be on the turf at a mile. These are maiden claimers. What did you see in race 1?
I'm 2-1-9-11. I think there's the 2. A significant rider switch to Tyler Gaffleone. The horse was late, flattened out late in his last race, but he was on a wide chase throughout. His thoroughgraph numbers is sort of the omni-fig over the field, so I'm leaning to him. The one I read is riding for Nick Zito. I won on Formulator. It's only the second time in the last 5 years I read has rode for Nick. So I see that as a big positive. The 9 seems to be loose speed and is improved significantly with the switch to turf routes. But we'll see. He seems to have regressing things in the last segment. So I use him as a tepid third choice.
Yeah, I put the 9 on top. I went 9, 1, 4, and 2, and I don't disagree with you that off the last couple, maybe a little bit questionable, but they were against better. So I'm hoping.
Correct.
I'm hoping the class drop gets the 9 through. It's Bill Mott Jr. Alvarado. We were talking before we went on the air. I'm a little concerned about the post position. It's outside a mile on the turf, so something to overcome. Again, I don't jump on the 9 with a lot of confidence. The 1 slice away I thought was interesting for Nick Zito with Irad jumping on board. Caught up with Nick yesterday, in fact, and we did a tape piece with him that'll be showing up a little further down the road. But Slice Away going on for Sport of Kings, had the Sport of Kings guys on up at Saratoga this past summer. Comes out of a nice try last time, and again, Rad hops on board. And then Sovereign Grace in the third spot for me, the number 4 horse, who a couple of starts dropped down to this level last time and seemed to appreciate it. It's kind of found the comfort zone, it looks like, at the 25 level. So for me, 9, 1, 4, and 2. All right, second race today, maiden optional claimers, a seat conditioned, 7 furlongs the trip. In the second race for me, 5, 7, 2, and 1. I used Sweet City on top. First time starter for Safi Joseph, looked up some of the breeding. A couple of siblings were win early types. One of the siblings, Lionel, won the career debut, then ran third, then won the third career start. Another Umbashi won in the second career start. So I thought there was some win early there. City of Light is okay with first-time starters, as is Safi. So I'm going to take a little pop there on the breeding and the connections. Coramato, the number 7 horse. There's some nice siblings there as well. Tigra won in the third career start, as did Beer Hunt, and a horse called Current Hope, third, second, and then won in the fourth career start. So I thought there was a little bit of win early for the 7 as well. And then Majestic Lucia, first fall from the dam, and the dam herself wasn't particularly productive, but McKinsey on top. And in the debut had a little trouble. I thought maybe had the eligibility to improve with the experience under the belt. So I'm 5, 7, 2, and 1. You?
I'm 6, 2, 5. I started out with the 6. I watched a replay. I thought the horse had a ton of excuses in his last race. Broke slowly, spotted the field almost 4 or 5 lengths, was always out of position, started without momentum. It was pinned against the rail. It was blistered with kickback. When he peeled off in the upper stretch, he did find a little late kick, but he was extremely wide. The number 2 horse, I think is another horse that looks to improve off the debut. She too, rather, got off slow. I thought it was funny in the far turn. It looked like Junior was easing up on the horse, but then the horse sort of kicked in, jumped back into the bit and had a little bit of run late. I really think this horse will improve off that effort. And also, according to DRF workout report, the most recent work was a solid B effort.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah. As for your 5, it's you can't knock the connections to Safi and Gaffleone. There's a fair amount of works, but one thing that I thought was a bit of a hole was the month of January. There were no works in the month of January. Yeah. So I was a little curious about that, and plus the one thing that's the last work was a gate work just before the debut. I kind of look at that as a negative, but Safi has good numbers. With this, he punches about 25%. And can't knock that.
Yeah, interesting group in here. I'm interested to see the 2 off of that debut effort. As you say, it was trouble. 9-2 on the morning line. I'm interested to see what we get.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I hope it stays.
Yeah. Third race this afternoon. We are looking at conditional claimers, 8,000 tags, non-winners of 3 lifetime, 3/4 of a mile. Wayne, how'd you see race 3?
Nothing too clever here, Seth. I think I'm 5, 3, 4. 5 and 3 are both droppers. IRAD and IRAD is when he hooks up with this trainer, and they have good stats together. Nick Tomlinson, he was way against the race flow in the last race, and I think he's back now with friends. The 3 is also a dropper. The one thing about the 3, I think, with only 7 starts, has clearly the most upside of them all in a race. He's 2 off a layoff, and he's coming off a quick turnaround. And I did like the fact he did break his main for a quarter, so that puts him in pretty good company. And underneath, I'm using the 4, who did close into a forward flow the last time, and the 7. I'm looking to use the 7 as sort of a reverse key and some gimmicks in that race, just on pace alone.
I have it 6, 3, 5, and 4. I put the 6 on top. I thought this one was a little bit interesting off the claim for Carlos David. Good numbers off the claim there, and so that attracted my attention. Popular at the claim box last 2 starts has been claimed. And right at this level, 2 starts back, ran a pretty good race. Last time was claimed out of a little bit of a dud, but had some trouble in there. I'm going to look for a rebound moving into the new barn. Captain Eddie, the 3-horse. The drop was a little bit concerning to me there. I mean, I think it as you say, broke the maiden for 25 and then went 30 and an optional 20 and then 25 again, and now drops down to 8. I was a little concerned there, but this horse may just outclass them. Right. And then the 5 in the 3rd spot, Dogwood Crossing. I have no arguments with anything you said there. Second off the claim, gets back to the 8 level. Irad hops on board. Makes plenty of sense there. So for me, 6, 3, 5, and 4. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue our look at the Friday card here at Gulfstream. Stay tuned.
The championship season is on at Gulfstream Park. Great horse racing action Thursday through Sunday. Come out and enjoy the world's best horses, trainers, and jockeys as they compete over the Hallandale Beach Oval all season long. Take your experience up a notch and join us in 10 Palms Restaurant with unbeatable track views, outstanding dining, and convenient wagering options. For reservations, event schedules, tickets, and more, head to GulfstreamPark.com.
Think horse racing is too complicated? Think again.
And they're off.
Every pro was a newbie once. Meet DRF Newbie, the mobile tool loaded with daily racing form data and the power of DRF AI. Get the insights you need fast so you can play smarter and feel more confident. DRF Newbie, horse racing made simple. Try it free today. Visit newbie.drf.com.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
Welcome back live from Gulfstream. Seth Merrow, our friend Wayne Bertrand, as we said at the top, educator from the Albany-Saratoga area for many years. And now we talked about some of your contest success, but going back to your years as an educator, kind of unique. You had as students a couple guys who went on to write for the Daily Racing Form.
I did, yeah. When I spent my first 20 years at Balsa Spa, and I had the pleasure of having Mike Beer, who is a writer for the Racing Form. I had Mike in class. He also played baseball for me. And Brian Pockman, who was a clocker for NYRA, he too was a student and a baseball player for me.
Yeah, a unique distinction to have a couple guys to go on to write for the Form. All right, let's jump back in. The 4th race this afternoon at Gulfstream. It's an optional claimer starter allowance. They are on the Tapeta, going 5 furlongs. Excuse me. 5, 4, 3, and 1 for me. I'll put 3-0 on top. Another Carlos David runner. This one hasn't been seen since December, but was in a similar race and ran well. Tyler Gaffleone was on board that day. Back on board again today. On the payroll in the 2nd spot for me. Irad Ortiz hops on board. This horse with a lot of positional early speed, and I would expect that to be the game plan. And at this trip on this track on the Tapeta, that may be very dangerous. Then Nick's Bro in the 3rd spot. Johnny Velazquez jumps on board, and again, we'll have a little tape piece with Johnny coming up a little bit later on. But this horse comes in very good form, obviously. Some solid numbers relative to this group, which is, on the numbers, a pretty evenly matched bunch. But I think off the last couple of starts, moving in the right direction and could be a player or two at a nice little number on the morning line of 8-1. So race 4 for me, 5, 4, 3, and 1. How'd you see it?
I am a 2, 5, 4. When I first blushed when I looked at the race, I was looking in another direction, and then I circled back to the 2, and I found that it was curious that This is a reclaim by Chapman, and he's running them now protected. Uh, the horse has definitely shown, he's very good at the sin. I think he's forward enough, and you need to be forward on this synthetic track. I think he's forward enough to be effective. My next horse is the 4. Ired's going to have a big day, according to me today. uh, you know, uh, he. It's a turf to sin move, but this horse it clearly is a sin type of runner. 2 for 7 on the sin. He too is a class dropper. He looks to be okay. And then finally, I'll close it out with the 5. 3-0. Carlos David, he was very hot when I first got here early in January, but he's not. He's been 0 for 17 in the last 21 days. This horse has been off a while. There was a gap in the work, so I was just a little dubious, and I wasn't really interested at that price.
You're right. The numbers have cooled down a little bit from earlier in the meet. 5th race today at Gulfstream. Maiden Specials going a mile on the grass. How'd you see race number 5?
I am 5 for 10. The 5, you see with the 5, Lemons Law, there's been an incremental increase on his buyer figures, and also other thoroughbred figures have increased as well. First time Lasix, a 3-year-old can take them. I'm not too crazy about the blinkers move. I'm not a big fan of blinkers in turf races because you want the horses to relax.
Yeah.
I did a formulator stat. Mott's 1 for 28 with that move. So that kind of, dulled me a little bit. My next one is 4 Boots on the Ground. I looked at, I did some replay work on this. He was sawed off from coming out of the gate the last time. He was against the flow, and you can see the horse that won the race. I See Light is running into Colonel Liam tomorrow, so that's a positive. And one thing in the last 8th of the mile, this horse closed down sub 12 a second, so that's a positive for me. The 10, according to my space figures that I use, is a big big pace upgrade coming off a layoff, and I noticed Tyler left this horse for the 5. So it makes me curious on that. But the one thing that I noticed, his second start at Churchill, that horse did get bet down as a favorite. So we took a lot of money in that start at Churchill Downs. And that came back as a live maiden special race. And I got to tell you, I'm going to throw in a 4th horse, the 7, Money Problems. I'm a huge Mike Trombetta fan. On the grass at Saratoga, he was when he put horses on the grass, they were running fools. It was a B+ worker on Mike Welch's report. He's a horse I think at 8 to 1 I'd watch the board.
Yeah, it's a fun race, and I took a close look at the 4 you have right in the mix there. So your trip note scares me a little bit because I wound up not using the 4. I went 3, 8, 5, and 6. I put an easy pick on top for Mark Cassie by Not This Time. So there's some breeding, and I'm hoping the horse got a little bit of experience in the debut. Showed a little punch before fading a little bit. Those are the kind that I think you can move forward from. Second slot, Manawa, the number 8 for Bill Mott, also a Not This Time. First time starter for Bill Mott. He can have him ready. We saw Thunderously and Chief Wallaby earlier in the meet. And so this one, Steady String will work out. So again, a little bit of breeding could be interesting at a nice price. And then Lemon's Law, that 5 horse for Riley Mott. Yeah, the last couple of starts, the numbers are progressing nicely in the first 3 starts of the career. And the last couple seem to have this one knocking on the door. I wouldn't be surprised to see an improved effort. The 6 was also intriguing to me, again, one of those races that a foundation to move forward from, let's say that in the second career start, and another one that should offer a decent price as well.
Well, just as to point out, to make a good point on the 6, that horse came out of that maiden special race. There was a ton of first-time starters. It was won by Vassie, who's running tomorrow. On the stakes card. So He's probably another one.
That's a fun race.
Yeah.
For me, 3, 8, 5, and 6.
Good main special race.
Yeah, absolutely. Sixth race this afternoon. Optional claimers, non-winners are one. Other than they'll go the 1-turn mile. I'm 5, 3, 6, and 4. I'll use Domino Vitale on top. Just a couple of decent starts so far. Went over to Tampa and broke the maiden in the debut. That's always a little notable. The follow-up, it takes a start or two often to get through the next condition and figure it out. And this one ran a very good second. The number took a nice jump forward. So I could see this one breaking through this condition with that experience under the belt. Second spot, I have Blueberry Hill. Comes in off a much improved performance as compared to the second and third starts of the career. Won the career debut and then disappointed in the next couple of starts as the favorite, really disappointed. Then took a lot of time off, and the comeback, I thought, reflected the promise from the career debut. And then in the third slot, we'll go with number 6, Heartbeat, Brian Lynch runner, who showed nice improvement start 1 to start 2 at Churchill. Now, those were a while ago, but these are the kind lightly raced. You get a little time off, they can come back with a little more maturity and maybe move forward. So for me, in the 6th, 5, 3, 6, and 4, your thoughts?
I'm pretty close to you. In my late pick 5, I'm going to lean heavily on the 5. They're going to be a single for me. His as I pull up his last race, he was on top of a soft pace. He was getting mild pressure from a long shot. He weakened late. That's kind of a negative, but he came back with a B+ workout on Welsh Report, and one thing that was noted in the workout report, he galloped out strongly afterwards. I'm a gallop out guy, so I kind of like that. The next horse I'm using is the 3. Blueberry Hill, again, another high rat horse. He's 2 off a layoff. He was a little plotty. He didn't make his move in crunch time and when it mattered, but I'm going to give him I'll give him another shot. And your point about the 6, I think, is a good one. It is coming off some layoffs, but he'll round out the bottom of my ticket.
I like that. You're going straight, you're boldly kicking off your pick with a single.
Yeah.
The thing is, if you lose, you can reload in the pick 4.
Yeah, the old Harvey Pack, right?
7th race this afternoon. Back on the Tapeta for calendar condition claimers. Your thoughts on race 7?
This is if you're playing multiples. This is like as far as you want to go here. I had a real tough time getting this bad bunch all under one tent here. I'm going to go with the 2 on the Class Edge American Speed with Morales. He's got back thoroughgraph numbers that are pretty strong and would just lay over this field. So I'm hoping maybe he just will regain or refine that type of numbers. The 3 is my second is the second choice, Drunken Sailor, 2 off the layoff. The last was a useful one once around, up on top of the pace a little bit and faded. So I kind of looked at it as a useful number. He's another one with bad back numbers that fit. The 8 is coming off a 7-day layoff. Roscoe Pine, and was on the chase and faded late. So I'm a 2-3-8. Maybe throw in the 6 as well too. But to me, I think this is, if you're playing pick 4s and pick 5s, I think you got to go deep.
I didn't know what to do with the 8. I normally like horses coming back quick like that. I wasn't sure what to do. I went 2-6-3, 2-6-5 and 3. I used American Speed on top as well, as you say. May just kind of class out with this bunch. Takes a dip and gets down to the bottomish level, so you're always concerned. But they claimed for 17. They ran for 10 last time, so I don't think it's the kind of drop where you're totally have trepidation. I think it's kind of a logical move. So I'll go there. But again, you don't have a lot of confidence in with this group.
No.
It's a modest bunch. Frank's Art in the second spot. Nice race 2 back at the 10 level and dropped down to this condition last time and kind of clunked a little bit. I'm hoping we can get back to what we saw 2 starts back, because I think if you look at the recent races on the resume, that is more consistently what the horse tends to throw. Now, it may just be going in the wrong direction, but I'll look for a rebound. And then number 5, Wicked Fun. Again, the numbers this horse typically throws match up decently with this bunch. Dropped down to the bottom level at the Meadowlands back in October and ran decently. Came back at Laurel against a little bit better, didn't run quite as well. I have a feeling going to fit in with this group, though, this afternoon, maybe class-wise. So 7th race for me at Gulfstream on this Friday afternoon, 2, 6, 5, and 3. All right, we'll take another quick break. Wayne's going to step out, but he's going to come back in a few minutes to complete the look of the card. We'll also get some thoughts on tomorrow's Fountain of Youth card. But in the meantime, we'll be joined by our friend Terry Finley. Some nice runners coming up on the weekend here and at Oaklawn and in the future for West Point Thoroughbreds. We'll talk a little bit about that. We have the taped interviews coming up a little bit later on. Chad Summers, nice conversation about Napoleon Solo, who I was very impressed with in the Champagne. He comes back in the Fountain of Youth. We have some other taped interviews, and a little bit later on, Ron Nicoletti. All when the Handicappers Aboard and Racing Across America continues live from Gulfstream Park.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
You like free money? Well, Capital OTB gives its players plenty of opportunities to cash in. At Capital OTB, there are so many ways for horse players to receive bonus dollars by simply participating in promotions such as our bankrolls, bounty bets, online handicapping contests, and much, much more. Plus, with Capital OTB's Player Rewards program, you get actual cash back. So what are you waiting for? Log on today at CapitalOTB.com or CapitalOTBBet.com and claim your free money.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Welcome back. Racing Across America again, live from Gulfstream Park. And as you can see, happy to be joined by our friend Terry Finley from West Point Thoroughbreds. They have some runners coming up the weekend here over at Oaklawn. We'll talk about those and some of the other nice horses and whatnot. Terry, good morning.
Absolutely great to be on as usual. I can't believe it's already been, 6 or 7 months since we sat down at Saratoga, but it'll only be 4 or 5 months before we get back there.
Yeah,
so
no, let's
go.
Yeah, we get some extra Saratoga for sure this year, which is always fun. But it's also fun down here with a lot of great racing here on Fountain of Youth Day. You have a horse coming in the Canadian Turf. We'll talk about that one. And then I also want to get into what you have coming up on the weekend over at Oaklawn as well. But let's start out. The Canadian Turf tomorrow, Battle of Normandy for West Point and Company, a Shug-trained horse. Comes out of a third in the seasonal debut. Well, actually had the race in the Pegasus to kind of kick things off in January, but had a follow-up. That was January of last year, excuse me. That was the seasonal debut. So came back from the layoff. Ran a decent little third in there. What are your expectations? Again, second start off that long layoff.
Yeah, I thought it was a very good effort. It was a normal shug off of a year layoff, that type of effort. And as soon as they crossed the wire, we were like, I think we have a shot to set ourselves up for a good year. And, it's been 4 or 5 weeks now. So, like, I know he's trained really well for Shug and his team. And we're, obviously it's a cliche, but we're really expecting a big effort. I don't know if we can beat the favorite. We ran against him with another colt, Cugino, and he's a very, very nice horse. I think the race goes through him, but if we show up, I think we got a shot.
Yeah, Wolfie's tying a ghost in there. Our friends at Sakatoga also have Tiz Dashing in there, a nice little runner. This is a fun race, but again, with the race under the belt now for Battle of Normandy, looking forward to him coming back. Also, let's go over to Oaklawn on the weekend. Tomorrow in the Razorback, Sandman coming off the seasonal kickoff down at Oaklawn just recently. What are your thoughts? Well, first of all, what were your thoughts on the comeback race and then coming into the weekend?
Yeah. Those kind of comeback races, you're right in the middle of the field, right? You don't know. Obviously he didn't throw a huge clunker, but he didn't really show up. So you're like, all right, what direction is he going to go? And we'll find out. Obviously, much tougher. I thought Steve At's horse, destined for Dubai if he shows up on Sunday, Magnitude. So, I think he's a cool horse. I just hope he's really taken the step forward from 3 to 4. There are some do and some don't.
And based down at Oaklawn, I interviewed Mark Cassie a few weeks ago. And it was right when Oaklawn was going to get back into racing after having had things delayed because of the weather. So there was some also with Mark mentioned a number of his horses got a kind of a week where they didn't get out on the track, and that certainly affected things for some horses, I would think.
Yeah, and I you kind of chuckle because the horses that win off of those types of times, you're like, what? Well, they weren't bothered by it. But the horses that don't run well, you have like a built-in excuse. And we really try to stay away from excuses with our stable. Like, they got to show up. And when they do, we celebrate. And when they don't, we move on to the next race. Yeah. We really try to stay away from excuses. So, but hey, it's a $500,000 race. It's a good field as it should be. And we're going to see if we can be a factor in there.
And clearly he's proven in the past that he likes Oaklawn with the win in the Arkansas Derby last year. So looking forward to Sandman. Also looking forward to the Honeybee coming up on Sunday down there. Counting Stars, you have that one entered, who looked great in those 2 stakes in December and then stopped in the Martha Washington in the latest effort. So I'm looking forward to a rebound for Counting Stars. What do you all expect?
I mean, Mark and I talked about it. She ran really well twice, and we ran her back at Keeneland, and she basically had a duplication of her effort in her last start at Oaklawn. So, and then she came back and ran super at Churchill. So we're just hoping, she threw in a clunker, and she just didn't decide. And I think some horses, when they decide they're not running on that afternoon, like, it's really bad. But I mean, she worked as good as a horse could work the other day, Mark said. And, Mark isn't in the superlatives. He's very grounded. So I was very bullish on that. And, it's a really good race. Explorer coming from the West Coast and some other fillies from the Midwest. So I think it's a perfect, race, 2 races away from the Kentucky Oaks. And, it's exciting for the partners. It really is.
Yeah, she was, like I say, those 2 December races, she was really impressive. So looking forward for a rebound on Sunday. All right. One of the nice things about your website, and people can check out Google West Point Thoroughbreds and find the website. Always a lot of great information to keep up with your runners. And you have, obviously, the horses that are entered immediately in the next week, and we know definitely where they're going, but you also plan out, maybe 60 days ahead at some of the stakes races and looking ahead perhaps to the March 8th Santa Isabel out at Santa Anita. Super Corridor, potentially. Winner of the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, but last time 4th in La Virginess in the seasonal debut. But before we get into, what's up with her coming up, just reflect back on the season, the win in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, and then a few weeks ago, walking up on the stage and getting the eclipse.
Yep. Well, it was the first one in our silks. I know Tommy Bellhouse, as soon as we crossed the wire out at Santa Anita, he says the first time after 35 years in our silks. Breeders' Cup wins are they're not easy to come by. We all know that, and you really have to savor those. And we did. I mean, she showed up. She had just broken her maiden 3 weeks before. I was a little surprised when John called me and said, I'm considering the Breeders' Cup, but everything worked out. She got on the engine and kept going. So it was I figured that we would have a good shot to win the Eclipse Award. But Cy-Fair, the George Weaver filly, like you can't imagine the number of nights I was saying, what if that kind of moves over? But I mean, a lot of credit to her and to George Weaver and the team, the ownership team. I know we've gotten to be friends over the years, and I respect those guys a lot. Obviously, I respect the filly, but we ended up being getting the most votes, and it was a very proud moment for everybody involved because you know, and I talk about it, Seth. There's so many hands that touch a horse. There's so many hands that touch a champion. There's so many hands that touch a 62.5 claimer, and you really kind of are impacted when you think about that, when you get a chance to reflect on it. So it's a beautiful thing. She'll be a champion for the rest of her life and on into, and right, you realize that to be a champion, it's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah. And it was fun. I was, watching live the awards a few weeks ago. It was fun to see the group get up on the stage and accept. Now, again, looking for potentially Santa Isabel. And what are your thoughts off the seasonal debut in the La Virgenes?
Yeah, so we were thinking. I bring up Tommy Ballas again. We talk all the time. We've been together for well over 20 years, and we were just talking about how, like, in the middle of January, we were as bullish as we could be on our stable. We had Counting Stars. We had Sandman coming back. We had the champion 2-year-old filly, and every one of them threw a clunker in. And we were like, what just happened? And but the good thing is 4 or 5 weeks later, all the horses came out well. And 4 or 5 weeks later, we're ready to rock and roll again. So, hey, you got to do it on the racetrack. And I know she worked very nicely the other day. I know Explorers at Oaklawn, and I know the filly Meaning, who won that race that we were in. She's probably going to wait for the Santa Anita Oaks. So it's I think going to be a small field, as they usually are, unfortunately, out in California. And hopefully we get a shot to really establish our authority in the with the pace, that scenario. And if not, we back up and we probably put a circle around the Acorn. And we kind of work through. We're not going to push it. Obviously, everybody likes to say, we'll let the horse take us there. And we really try to abide by that mantra.
As you mentioned, she's out on the West Coast. That got me thinking, how do you decide where to send the horses, East Coast, West Coast?
Yeah, it just all kind of works out. It's, the reps, the ownership reps are on the ground. They're talking to partners, and look, I mean, we basically have to do, and we've got to kind of, we don't have to, but we like to spread things out, and usually it falls into place. And I'm not sure that's a great description or like a great response, but it all does. It all works.
We wanted to see Flightline at Saratoga.
I did too. I wanted to be on the Seth Merrow show the morning that Flightline ran.
That would have been something, no question about it. Speaking of Flightline and speaking of horses that the vagaries of horse racing, well, you had to be very happy. Just a couple weeks ago, Reagan's Honor, and again, looking ahead to what you have planned, the Bluegrass. And the progression is interesting because Reagan's on her 4th in the debut, then won a maiden special weight on January 17th. And then, as I alluded to a couple of weeks back, on the 19th of February, wins an allowance race. And this time of year, it's hard to find those allowance races. And normally you come out of a nice maiden win, you're looking for a stakes race. But you guys found the allowance race against Older and fires a 96 buyer. And now you're headed to the Bluegrass. You guys have to be thrilled with Reagan's Honor.
you do your homework. Older horses, that's the key.
Yeah.
It wasn't, a stellar group of older horses, but, Steve Asmussen, a couple races later, older horses, really solid upper level allowance horses ran a tick slower than he did. So he showed up that day, and it just goes to show you, we paid $140,000 for him. He's by Honor AP, same sire as Counting Stars, but Honor AP is a horse that I tell people, and I don't like to boast, but I really liked him before. He should have won the Kentucky Derby with a better trip. So he's got a lot of upside, and I just in the past week I've had 3 or 4 people call me about getting seasons to Honor AP. I referred him over to the good people at Lane's End. So yes, we're super excited. The drawback was I ended up going up to Payson, and I saw Paladin train. He didn't work, but he trained, and I walked away. I was like, I probably don't need to be as bullish on the bluegrass as it would have been, but we're still very excited. And hey, they settle scores on the racetrack in racing.
As I say, very impressive. So looking forward to him. And give us a little update on Ewing, another one that the comeback down at, and again, it was a lengthy layoff, but the comeback ran 6th in the comeback down at Oaklawn. How did he come out of the race? What are the plans for Ewing?
I knew I had forgot someone when I talked about the ones that threw an egg, but he laid an egg, and we're going to go back to square one. He's back in Ocala. We'll give him a little bit of time, and we know that he loves Saratoga, so we'll put a circle around Saratoga, to see. He's probably not a 1.125 miles or 1.25 miles horse. Probably he's not, and so we'll kind of take hold, and we'll try to use our institutional knowledge. But he's very, very talented horse, and I think the second half of 2026 we'll see him, and we'll see where he fits.
Clearly, like Saratoga, obviously the Saratoga Special winner. So looking forward to that potential. And let's talk a little bit about, because it's that time of year, we're kind of kicking off the 2-year-old sales season. There's been 1 or 2 maybe of the 2-year-old sales so far. Have you guys been active, and what are the game plan? I'm guessing you've been up and looking at some of the horses in Ocala and whatnot.
I have been up to Ocala. David and Gordo, who we work with extensively and really does all of our bloodstock work, and we've been together since 2017. So his daughter is actually named Reagan, so that's how the Reagan's honor. I know some people think about President Reagan, who was the president when I first came into the Army back in the early 80s. But we're ready to get started in March up at OBS. We've got 40 yearlings that are now 2-year-olds. We got 10 of them are flight lines, and you talk about flight line. I envision, and I hope that we're up there, and after a week or two we sit down on the show, and you're showing a video of one in particular. He's out of a mare by the name of Park Avenue, and his name is Power Flight, and he could be a very, very nice horse. And we paid $1.7 million for him with a group of partners up at Saratoga at the Fasig-Tipton sale. And but a really good class, so we'll probably end up with 60 to 65 going forward, and we'll try to make our mark.
And again, if people are interested in learning more, you can always check out the West Point Thoroughbreds website. Again, you could just Google West Point Thoroughbreds. You guys have a great website. I always tout that. And, we've mentioned Flightline a couple times now. Obviously, I remember, being at the sale for the purchase and seeing the buzz around that, and then the phenomenal career. And obviously, as all of that is happening, you have to feel great, and that puts a smile on your face. But now we're a few years down the line. What's the feeling? Because we're talking about an all-timer. Do you still reflect back and think, "Oh, that was amazing"?
Absolutely. And I know some people they talk about, and some athletes they'll talk about, did I really appreciate? Did I really savor that? I think we, and I can look anybody in the eye. I do think we savored that experience. Like that was so incredible. A quick fact: John Sadler had won the Santa Anita Derby with Rock Your World, and we get on the phone every week with him, and we were all congratulating him on the Tuesday afterwards. He said, "Yeah, that was a pretty impressive performance. I have one who's 20 times better than Rock Your World. The horse that just won the St. Anthony Derby, and the good thing is you guys own him, and his name is Flightline." So we were pretty pumped, and that electricity just stayed with us. And all the credit to John Sadler and his team. Like, I know it's easy to give credit, but I mean, the job that they did, I mean, he consumed his whole life for 2.5 years. And when you see that, and you see somebody who is so dedicated to their craft and is at such a high level, you can only marvel at the results. And we were certainly proud and just really humbled to be part of the journey.
Yeah, no, it was fun. It's just a racing fan to have that on your racing fan resume. When I first got in the game, the horse that really got me in was Forgo, and so that was on my resume. And there are a number of horses over the years at Flightline, certainly as a fan as well. Terry, appreciate the visit this morning. Again, good luck over the weekend here and at Oaklawn and with some of the horses we talked about going forward as well. Again, appreciate the visit.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Terry Finley, West Point Thoroughbreds. All right, we'll take another break. When we come back, a little more handicapping. A little later on, Ron Nicoletti, some tape pieces from yesterday as well. Stay tuned.
Thank you, partner.
Thank you.
That was really good. Great stuff.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
The championship season is on at Gulfstream Park. Great horse racing action Thursday through Sunday. Come out and enjoy the world's best horses, trainers, and jockeys as they compete over the Hallandale Beach Oval all season long. Take your experience up a notch and join us in 10 Palms Restaurant with unbeatable track views, outstanding dining, and convenient wagering options. For reservations, event schedules, tickets, and more, head to GulfstreamPark.com.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
Welcome back again. A little mashup, 90 minutes, handicapper sport racing across America. Thanks to Terry Finley from West Point for joining us. But now returning, Wayne Bertrand. Again, we're taking a look at the card. We'll continue handicapping and maybe get some thoughts on tomorrow as well. But we'll kick back in with the Friday afternoon card. Race number 8, state-bred optional claimers, non-winners who won a mile on the grass. I'm 3, 1, 5, and 6. I went win with faith. Kind of the logical in here off the last few. Couple of thirds leading to a close-up near-miss second last time. I think the horse is set up to move forward this afternoon. Venezuelan Hope, if you're looking for an alternative. The race 3 back was pretty good. Claimed for 12.5 and then moved into this company the last couple and was 5th and 4th. But with numbers that are moving in the right direction, I think match up okay with this group. And again, kind of moving in the right direction, maybe get some value there. And the man up front in the 3rd spot, clunked last time. Another one I'm hoping rebounds because most of the recent consistent numbers are a little bit better than we saw last time. So as I say, hoping for a little bit of a rebound in here for that one. For me, 3, 1, 5, and 6 in the 8th. What were your thoughts?
I am 6, 7, 3, 1. The 6, again, doing replay work, he was taken out to the parking lot going into the first turn. The ground loss was significant. He did maintain his stride late, and I kind of see that as a positive. Another thing I like is the fact he's rebounded with a good workup from the Welch report, which is always a plus for me. It gets it's Irad and Carlos David. I mentioned earlier about the David stats, but I like to trip on this horse, and I can't get past it. I The 7 is a confusing one to me.
Yeah.
It debuted at Saratoga at 4-5. And it was an Irad Pletcher combination, which always takes money in Saratoga, and then goes on a shelf because of an injury, comes back, uh, and then takes some money, runs down here in a maiden race, on a sin, wins it up front, then goes on the shelf again, and now is returning. Uh, Sisterson teams up with Gaffleon. I kind of think that's a positive. Uh, I don't know what to do. The 3-1, I think they're going to need some pace to run at. They have late, pace figures suggest they need some pace, and they'll round out my ticket.
Very good. Race number 9 this afternoon, mile and 70 on the synthetic for optional claimer starter allowance types. What did you see in race number 9?
I am 657. I think the 6, Baytown Parfait. It just had a perfect trip the last time. Wins that race. They come back. They protect him. Junior picks up the ride for Tomlinson. The 5 is probably the horse to beat. The fact that Ira jumped off the 6 and has taken the 5 for Ramsey. That horse is always bet. Always does seem to show up. The 7. I'll take a little flyer with the 7, the 30-1 shot. Since they put him on the sin, all the figures across the board have improved. And I looked at the time form figures. Sometimes I like to look at those, and those figures put him right in play in this race. So he's a one that might be a reversed key type of horse in triples or exactas.
I have it 3, 4, 5, and 6. I put Uncle John on top. Mike Maker, Tyler Gaffleon had a 2-race win streak snapped last time, running an okay third. Did it behind Long Branch Lou, so this is one where I'm hoping they switch up from last time. I often say sometimes we get clever and look for them to switch up, and they don't. But as you mentioned, Long Branch Lou probably the one to beat, and I have that one down in the 3rd spot, and makes a lot of sense off of that win last time. Bookending. Those 2 bookend Ninja Star, the number 4 for me, coming in off a nice win, claimed out of that. Trainer very good off the claim. Been popular at the claim box down the page, and understandably so in the hunt more often than not over the last 3 races, certainly with a couple of wins, bookending a 3rd place finish. So in good form, comes in off the claim for a trainer that's good off the claim, makes some sense. So again, for me, in that 9th, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And we'll wrap things up this afternoon in race number 10, maiden optional claimers, C condition, mile on the grass. I'm 2, 5, 8, and 1. I'll put Excel on top. Second time starter from Todd Pletcher that tossed in a number that matches up with this group in the first start. You mentioned that race earlier, that we have a couple of horses that may prove this to be a key race today, which would look good for Vassy tomorrow. But that was a maiden special, now drops in for a tag in the second start. That was kind of what I was looking at. I thought the debut effort was okay, but gets the class move that should be potent. The Town in the second spot. Brad Cox and Irad Ortiz will take some money, certainly, off of that notable combo, but comes in with 3 seconds and a third in 4 starts. So it's been in the mix right along. And then Chemical Romance in the 3rd spot off a nice improving start 1 to start 2 performance so far. Last time against maiden specials. And again, drops back down to that maiden optional claiming level this afternoon. So for me, in the 10th and final, 2, 5, 8, and 1.
This is a race I really like, Seth. As I mentioned earlier, and you brought it up, 2 is my top pick coming out of that Vassy race. It was swarmed in traffic at the top of the stretch, got shuffled out toward the back. For those that fire up your horse watch, the horse that ran second that day, Democracy Defender, should be in everybody's trip notes next time out. That's definitely a horse to follow. I like that horse. I like the 2 quite a bit. The 5, you mentioned the 5. I read in Cox, the horse got out of the gate slow the last time, gave up late, gave up planks early on, exchanges significant contact mid-stretch, but still was closing along. And the last 5/16 came home in sub 30, so he was running a little bit. The 10 urgency. Cassie is really hot right now. It comes out of a super live maiden optional claimer. The top 3 all returned to win, all improved figures, and that horse dealt with traffic in the stretch. And finally, I'm going to use the 8 was way against the pace. That was a dawdling pace the last time, and just no one made up any ground in that race. And this horse was wide to boot. And sort of the cherry on the top was, I think it's the only B+ work from Mike's report.
Yeah, and had trouble in both of the first 2 starts.
Right. Yeah. So it would be 2-5-10-8.
Well, if you're live here in the pick 5, how deep would you go in this race in the pick 5?
I would probably, if I was to feather out my tickets, I would probably lean on the 2 the most, and then use 5-10-8 underneath. The play that I really enjoyed down here is the Alter Pick 3.
Okay.
That pays, and it's a $3 unit.
I was going to say it's a $3 basic.
Yeah, it's a good play, and this would be the last leg of it. I had a nice one last Saturday, and I really been following it, and it's a good bet.
Ah, nice.
Yeah,
very good. All right, let's before we let you go, let's get some ideas for tomorrow. We'll kick things off. Fountain of Youth, and I will give a little head start to folks. Hint at my selections. Again, you can tune in tomorrow. Don't forget, tomorrow we're on at 8 o'clock. Handicappers Report, Racing Across America. Handicappers Report will be joined by Steve Bick. So tune in for all of that tomorrow at 8 a.m. But as I say, I'll give a little hint. I'm going to take a swing with Napoleon Solo. And again, we have an interview with Chad Summers coming up in a little bit. They came out of the Champagne and said, we're done. We think we have a nice 3-year-old. We're not going to go to the Breeders' Cup. And you'll see what Chad said about that move in the interview. But you can get a guess with the 107.
Right.
They used a lot, but it was a good-looking Champagne. So I'm going to use that. But Jackson Hole for Todd's interesting. Commandment, Solitude, Dude. What are your thoughts on the Fountain of Youth?
I agree with you on Summers' horse. Chad is an astute Ragozin player, and when that horse popped that number, he didn't take the chance, and he held it back on the Breeders' Cup. I think that's important. Funny little side story, Commandment and the Mucho Macho Man. I watched a race, and I'm good friends with Brian Natto. He texted me like 2 minutes afterwards, and he said, "Did you see the gallop on that horse?" I mean, that horse galloped out to Sunny Isles here. But interesting. Cox has been kind of cold on the Derby Trail, but this move off winds and going to turf or dirt routes, he's 40%, and I think this horse has the potential to be something big, something very good. I agree with you. I like Jackson Hole a lot. He's showing ability. Johnny V is back on the horse, so he's definitely. I'm 4-7. I'm using the. I'm leaning toward the 6 a little bit if I can get my iPad to move here.
Wallaby.
Oh, Chief Wallaby.
Yeah.
I read that. Bill Mott tried to get this horse in an allowance race last Sunday, but it didn't fill. So they landed here. So I don't know how to play, but I understand from the workout report this horse had been outworking Ben Duke, which is Mott's good stake horse.
Between the 2 Mott horses that won that day, I preferred Thunderously, who unfortunately went to the sidelines. So I didn't use Chief Wallaby. Certainly scares me. I will say, if folks are looking at Jackson Hole and saying, John Velazquez back on board, and people are always speculating on jockey switches and whatnot, was watching last night or the night before an interview with Todd Pletcher, and he talked about why Flavien Prat was on board for that fairgrounds race. And it was a whole situation where he actually wanted to go over to Tampa Bay, but they took the entries at fairgrounds before, and so he kind of committed things. And if they had gone to Tampa, John Velazquez would have been on board, but he stayed home, and so they've had to pick up Flavien. So there wasn't any, I think a lot of people, the crystal ball in there, and there were other things going on in the background, but John Velazquez on board again on Saturday on Jackson Hole.
One final point on Chief Lullaby. The Puma was the steamer in that race.
You're right. Yeah.
And I mean, he blew by him mid-stretch, and he was galloping out strongly. So, I mean, he's no slouch in this race. And the Puma ran back, I think, in Tampa, and ran pretty well up in Tampa as a maiden in the prep that they run in Tampa.
And just quickly, we were talking before, and you said you may have had thought in the Colonel Liam. And the Colonel Liam is the race that features a couple of horses we did talk about earlier, Vassy and I see Light come back in here off of nice efforts for both of those, which, again, may get flattered by some of the performances today.
Yeah. I'm going to take a shot with Vassy. Brendan Walsh, I really respect what he did, his work, and he teams up with Flavien Prat, and we don't have to go on about that. I'm going to take a shot with him, and I hope I get all 8 to 1 on that horse.
Yeah, looking forward to a big day tomorrow. Nice card on Fountain of Youth Day, and again, we'll be on at 8 tomorrow, handicapping the card with Steve Bick, and then a little Racing Across America with some interviews as well. I think Pete Aiello will join us tomorrow. Brian Nato, your friend and mine, going to hop on a little bit as well. All of that coming up tomorrow when we kick off at 8. But Wayne, it was fun.
Seth, thanks for having me, man.
Happy to have you.
Yeah.
Again, great contest player, and you can pick his brain if you see him walking around the track and get some ideas. A good trip note guy as well. So we'll see if we got some good ideas today. Good luck today. And again, appreciate the visit.
All right. Thanks, man.
All right. We'll take a break. When we come back, we have some taped interviews and a little bit later on Ron Nicoletti. Stay tuned.
The championship season is on at Gulfstream Park with great horse racing action Thursday through Sunday. Come out and enjoy the world's best horses, trainers, and jockeys as they compete over the Hallandale Beach Oval all season long. Take your experience up a notch and join us in 10 Palms Restaurant with unbeatable track views, outstanding dining, and convenient wagering options. For reservations, event schedules, tickets, and more, head to GulfstreamPark.com.
Think horse racing is too complicated? Think again.
And they're off.
Every pro was a newbie once. Meet DRF Newbie, the mobile tool loaded with daily racing form data and the power of DRF AI. Get the insights you need fast so you can play smarter and feel more confident. DRF Newbie, horse racing made simple. Try it free today. Visit newbie.drf.com.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
Welcome back. As noted, ran around the race course yesterday and picked up a few interviews, and we'll pop those in. And again, in a few minutes, we'll be joined by Ron Nicoletti as well. But we'll do some of the tape pieces. We'll kick things off. Trainer Jose D'Angelo has Corval de Oro in a stakes tomorrow. Looking pretty good, too. She looks live, and we talked a little bit about her coming off a couple of nice performances into the weekend. And then we also talked about, he had a great Breeders' Cup with Ben Tornado and She's So Spicy. So all of that coming up next. Jose D'Angelo. Had her for a couple of races now. Nice win when you got her Swanee River, and then a good second in the Pegasus, World Cup.
make their way to the final 3 furlongs of the Swanee River Stakes, and Raylu Gutierrez in Spinning Colors are the leader. Zayas has his hands full of Moving On Up, who looks to angle to the clear and is there now. Leo Doro is next. Moving up between horses, here's a move from Creval Doro. Sorona is going to be destined for a wide run, then back to Do-Gooder. Public Defender stuck in traffic. Moving On Up is now taking the lead. Off her back comes Creval Doro to take a shot. They're an eighth of a mile from home, and the leader is Moving On Up. Moving On Up has the lead, trying to turn back Creval Doro, who has good-looking momentum down the center. Creval Doro are Moving On Up. Moving On Up digs. Creval Doro lunges. Creval Doro gets her. Creval Doro and Jorge Ruiz to win the Swanee River over Moving On Up second. The pace quickens and they start to stack up. Looking for room behind the speed. Breath Away, the leader in Our Time. Off cover comes Moving On Up. From between horses and Our Time. Sliding through at the rail. Proctor Street tried to straighten up Creval Doro. Late run down the center. Destino Doro. Whiskey Decision has no place to go. Edgard Zayas and Moving On Up in front. But here comes Destino Doro. Charging hard on the outside. Junior Alvarado and Destino Doro win the filly and mare turf. Close then for second. Creval Doro getting loose late was Whiskey Decision, who had a ton of traffic in 140-1.
Filly and mare turf. Talk about those two races and what you expect on Saturday from Creval Doro.
Yes, she's doing great. Last time she ran a huge race, running second on the Pegasus Invitational Fillies. Now we are back on the 1 mile, where I think is her best distance. So I really like her chances. She's doing very good. Just we have to figure out the post position. We draw from the 10. I have to get his position fast to don't get the turns too wide.
Also wanted to talk to you a little bit about just a great weekend last fall. It was fun kind of watching because we've had you on, interviewed you up in Saratoga, so it's fun to see you with Ben Tornado and She's So Spicy. Just overall, talk about the Breeders' Cup weekend and coming up with a couple wins like that.
4 lengths off the filly, She's So Spicy, who's by herself at the top of the stretch. She's So Spicy, coming down to the 8th pole, a 3-length lead. Invincible Papa Governor Sam next. Reef Runner coming late, caught him on the far outside, and AG Bullet, but there's no catching. She's So Spicy. She's so speedy in that sprint. She won it by 4 lengths on the wire. And then it was AG Bullet second, followed by Cottam and Reef Runner, and a final time of 55.24. Mulligan is under pressure. Imagination is coming on now. One off the rail and moving up as they come toward the top of the stretch. Ben Tornado, straight no chaser. Imagination swings up on the outside. American Stage is running a big one too. Ben Tornado turns loose with 1 furlong to run. Imagination, second, Dr. Venkman closing outside, but Ben Tornado and Iran Ortiz have won the Breeders' Cup Sprint over Imagination and Dr. Venkman, then American Stage.
Yes, it was an amazing weekend. We won both races with the horse that we was planning, pointing all the year to run these races. Now they are doing good. Ben Tornado looking forward to go to Dubai in March. She's Spicy planning probably to go into Keeneland in April. So both are doing pretty good.
And again, just what's the feeling to come away from Breeders' Cup weekend with a couple of wins like that?
It was amazing. It was huge emotions that day. I'm very happy. I'm proud of them.
Thanks and good luck on the weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks to Jose D'Angelo for taking the time. And again, Creval Doro looking quite live in the stakes tomorrow. Also looking very live in the Fountain of Youth. It's Napoleon Solo coming out of that champagne last year, which was spectacular. And again, in this interview, you'll get to see some of that champagne. They said right after that race, they were not going to go to the Breeders' Cup. They thought they had a nice 3-year-old. So now making the 3-year-old debut, Napoleon Solo. And we talked about that whole situation with trainer Chad Summers. That is up next. Boy, 2 nice starts last year for Napoleon Solo. And you wrapped up and said right after the champagne, that's going to be the game plan. Talk a little bit about the 2-race campaign and what your plans were coming out.
Look, I mean, I think a lot of people thought that we were crazy, right? I mean, you're supposed to go to the Breeders' Cup off that effort. But, I mean, those fractions were so fast. I mean, he barely missed a track record going 6 furlongs and 7 furlongs. Records that have stood forever with Kelly Kipp and Artex. So, that was kind of what we thought right away. We feel like we did the right thing, and we feel like we're in the position.
We approach a half mile left to go, 22.53 for the opening quarter mile. Napoleon Solo is the leader. It's Our Time. A stalking position here this afternoon. Napoleon Solo is traveling well. Napoleon Solo has now put 2 lengths on It's Our Time, who looks to be all in here through a 44.24 half-mile time. Napoleon Solo is in hand and just cruising right along. The big favorite, It's Our Time, is all in. And can It's Our Time run down this lone leader? Napoleon Solo. Napoleon Solo is now 5 lengths in front, and Napoleon Solo is pouring it on. A furlong left to go. It's Our Time continues to battle. Talkin is in third, but still Napoleon Solo is just running away with it. Napoleon Solo dominates here in the Champagne, wins it. Talkin up for second in a photo with Universe, and It's Our Time finished fourth in 1 minute 34.57. Napoleon Solo.
Obviously, when you look at the Fountain of Youth and you see the recency form that some of these other horses have, we're playing catch up. We're realistic, we know that, but we're all trying to get to the same place, and it might not be Saturday, but it'll be in a couple months.
Talk a little bit about the horse himself, and how soon did you realize you had something special? Because you won at Saratoga. The Maiden Breaker was a restricted race, $40,000 purchase.
Well, don't say it too loud. Don't tell my 2 people. We love that race. And Torpedo Hunter won that race first time out. Look, I love buying horses as much as I love training horses. And so to me, you know, that's a little bit of a coup de grace when you can sit there and run in races restricted to horses that cost $60,000 or less. We won 6 or 7 of them last year. We're going to point for it again this year. We got a few more. We have a horse named Live from New York, and it's Saturday night. Hopefully both of them can do it this year. But look, the restricted thing, I think that falls, a lot of people kind of look at it the wrong way. For us, it's a great starting point to a career rather than have to run against some of those monsters, the big pedigree horses from some of the big outfits, $500,000, $1 million horses, especially at a place like Saratoga. Look, we thought he was always kind of a maiden special horse, but why not take advantage of the opportunity? It's still a great pod in Saratoga. It's an $80,000 purse. It's not like you're running for a ham sandwich, and it gets to where you're trying to go, which at the end of the year is where everybody else wants to go as well.
So this was the game plan, to take the time off at the end of the 2-year-old year and aim for the 3-year-old year. How long's he been down here, and how's he doing?
Yeah, look, he got down here in December and just kind of gear up, get into place. You know, we love the place over at Palm Meadows. They have round pens. It's a real open barn. People forget that's where Funny Side was. The first year that Palm Meadows was open, Barbaro was over there. So, you know, a lot of great horses have wintered over there in Palm Meadows. We're thankful for the opportunity to have him down here in the wintertime. Obviously, our owner, Al Gold, he lives just 25 minutes away over there, so he can come out and watch him anytime he wants, which is so important to us. This is a guy that's a great steward to the game, that's been around for a long time and deserves to have nice horses. So we're excited to have him in Palm Meadows in his backyard for 6 months in Saratoga, where he lives the other half of the year. So look, it's great. He's been down there. In the Derby prep and the run to the Derby, every year you see the same thing where horses just don't make it. Things happen. It's just part of the game, and it's tough to get horses there. And you know, the thing we're most excited about is he's hit every landmark that we've set for him since he got down here. We wanted to have 6 workouts. We got our 6 workouts. We wanted to start out, you know, quarter mile galloping out 3/8 to where we're going, you know, galloping out miles, 1 mile and 1/8 right now. And, you know, that's been the big thing with him is we know he's fast. So a lot of time in the morning time has been about kind of putting that stamina into him, those wind in his lungs. So even though he's gotten some of those bullet workouts, we're more encouraged by what he's done after the work has been finished. And, you know, watching and studying, you know, some of the legends of the game like Bob Baffert and Brad Cox and Bill Mott, you know, you're trying to replicate while putting your own little spin on it. But they've had a lot of success. So you'd be silly not to try and emulate some of the things that they've had success with along the years.
Good luck on the weekend.
Thank you so much.
I'm looking forward to Napoleon Solo. That Champagne was just spectacular. Now, off a layoff in the first start of the season, what will we get? But I'm kind of tilting in that direction. It's a fun race, certainly, but Napoleon Solo, looking forward to it. So thanks to Chad Summers for taking the time yesterday. Also sitting with us for a couple of minutes, John Velazquez, got him on his way back to the Jocks room yesterday. He has Jackson Hole. We talked about the leaving from the one post position for Jackson Hole, and also took a little time just to reflect. John Velazquez, an Eclipse finalist last year, of a great 2025 season. So as I say, we reflected on that a little bit as well. So up next, John Velazquez.
What are your expectations for, you know, third start of the career, Jackson Hole? Again, you were on board for the debut victory.
Well, he has run twice and he's won twice. He's definitely a very talented horse. And we have to see how we break. I mean, post one. Let's see where he lands. I mean, first time out, he came up with a little bit of the pace. Let me talk to Todd and see what they would like to do with him, and we'll go from there.
Let me ask you about post one as a jockey, because I think over the years, handicappers have changed their position on post one. I think people used to think, hey, you're at the rail, you get it. And now people feel like, maybe post one isn't so good as a jockey.
Well, it all depends on the day and the racetrack, how it's playing. You know, if the track is playing really well inside and very fast, it's very beneficial for a horse that has speed and gets to the rail right away. You know, that we have to see. It hasn't been very good here in the rail last couple of weeks, so we'll see how the track changes by Saturday, and we'll go from there.
Let me just go back to the end of January this year, Eclipse Awards. You were an Eclipse finalist. You had a phenomenal year last year. You passed 500 million in career earnings. You had, 10 grade ones, including the Pacific Classic, Jockey Club Gold Cup, 24 graded stakes victories. So reflect a little bit on 2025.
And it's a blessed year, definitely a very blessed year. Getting the opportunities to ride these horses, and people that are riding for are very thankful. You know, that keep giving me the opportunities to trust with the horses. And I only can say it's been a very blessed year that I've been still getting this opportunity, and basically very happy to be part of it.
And, I know you've been quoted before as saying you don't look at the numbers, but when you get to the end of the year and you reflect on it, a year where you put up numbers like that, you just have to feel like, boy, it was special.
I don't know, especially a special year overall, and I have to say that again, it's a blessed year at my age to do the things that I'm doing right now, and being able to ride the horses that I'm riding. That's what you get some years like that. Again, thanks for the horses, the people that I'm riding for, the trust they're giving me, and blessings from the sky that I'm still here and competing at a high level.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
You like free money? Well, Capital OTB gives its players plenty of opportunities to cash in. At Capital OTB, there are so many ways for horse players to receive bonus dollars by simply participating in promotions such as our bankrolls, bounty bets, online handicapping contests, and much, much more. Plus, with Capital OTB's Player Rewards program, you get actual cash back. So what are you waiting for? Log on today at CapitalOTB.com or CapitalOTBBet.com and claim your free money.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit RTN.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Welcome back again, Racing Across America live from Gulfstream Park. And how about this? He's a guest on his own set. It's our friend Ron Nicoletti.
I'm not used to sitting on this side.
Ron,
I don't know what to do. I feel a little out of place.
That I'm usually on this side. They told me when I first came on, they said, "Oh no, our chicklets." I said, "We're staying here. We're doing it." Ron, good morning.
Morning.
Happy to have you on board. And
beautiful day, huh?
Oh, this is great. It's actually a little humid, but when you sat down, I said, "This weather's great," and it got me to thinking. You were on the set for two of my funniest stories on the show, and one of them was your story of what brought you down to Florida, and you said, long-time New York City guy, and there was the day that there was the sleet, freezing rain, and you were walking backwards so you wouldn't get hit by it, and you said, I'm on myself.
That was it. I started my plan to sell all my businesses, everything I owned in New York, and head to Florida.
I don't play after the I can totally relate.
I don't remember snow like that in New York City since
we lucked out upstate. We didn't get that weekend snow, but it's been a brutal winter for us too. Just the temperature wise been very cold. So it's happy to be here. But the other story was up in Saratoga. You're typically, when you're in town, we get you over in Saratoga to sit with us, and you had your cousin who has a horse farm just outside of Saratoga, and he was talking about naming the farm. And is it 5 Oaks or 10 Oaks?
No, 5 Oaks. Man.
Yeah,
we weren't Oaks.
Yeah. Somebody eventually said, "Hey, those aren't Oaks."
Now it's only two Oaks because of that hurricane you had up there. That was a couple of years ago.
No, that was great. No, those aren't Oaks. So
Yeah,
you may want to reconsider. All right, let's take a look and get some ideas for Fountain of Youth card tomorrow. And let's start out with the highlight, the Fountain of Youth Grade 2 event. They'll be going a mile and a 16. I have said right along here this morning, I'm going to take a swing at Napoleon Solo. What will we get off the layoff? I don't know. And there's plenty of speed in the race. And, given what he fired in the Champagne, I'm curious to see what he does on the comeback. But I tilted in that direction. But Jackson Hole is very tough. Solitude Dude, Commandment. It's a fun group in here.
Yeah.
How did you see the Fountain?
Really good. I went with Commandment. This horse has really impressed me. I remember the race at Churchill Downs, and it comes here in the Mucho Macho Man, just splits horses, does it like a really international good thing. So I immediately ran to the betting window and bet it in the futures right after that race. And I said, let me take a shot. So I'm going to ride with him. I don't know if he'll end up being my Derby horse. That's such a long way to go. We're going to get to the Florida Derby yet. And you're getting Ariana Ortiz Jr. And, the horse that I wanted to ask you about, I've been asking everybody about Solitude Dude. Most people say this horse will never get the distance. Just enamored with this horse. Has done nothing wrong. It's Safi Joseph Jr., Flavian Pratt. Why can't this horse jump up now? I put him in second because I'm a fan of the Commandment. This is the horse I keep going back to, and everybody just sort of giggles and said the horse will never get the distance, So
I have the horse in the third spot.
I got him second, but I was torn between putting him on the top and even going on top of Commandment. That's how much I liked him. And I talked to Brian Anno, our line maker here, and I was telling him, he was going. I said, this horse is going to take money. I don't care. Well, you'll never get the distance, whatever. So I think
Safi and Flavian Pride automatically going to take some money.
Exactly. And, Bravaro, I think, is interesting. They talked to the connections of Safi, of course, of Bravaro, and he just said that this horse was a couple of work short and ran well, and they really like this horse. So we'll see what we get with him. He's the wild card for me in the race.
What are you making of Napoleon Solo? I mean, the layoff is the concern, obviously.
Yeah, and I just, as much as I know about looking at horses, I just didn't, they schooled him here, just didn't jump off the page at me. And I mean, if he wins, I would not be shocked at all. So Chad Summers, good trainer. You look at his record. He does good with layoffs like this, winning consecutive races. If you follow that, Kendrick Camuch rode him to his debut victories. He's going to be in town to ride him. I would not be surprised at all if he wins. The barn couldn't be more happy about it. They love this horse. Yeah. So, that's the beauty of this race. It's by far, and I'm not saying this because I'm a homer, this is the best 3-year-old race thus far in the country.
And we haven't mentioned Chief Wallaby. That there was that big day for Bill Mott, and I've said a couple times this morning, between the two that won for Bill Mott, in their debut, Thunderously was the one that I preferred. And that one's on the sidelines now. But Chief Wallaby, another one of those, I didn't use him, but like you had mentioned with Napoleon Solo, I wouldn't be shocked at all to see Chief Wallaby get in the winner's circle.
Well, Chief Wallaby, if you listen to Bill Mott, he was trying to get into an allowance race on Sunday. I mean, he was entered in an allowance race on Sunday. He didn't go, and he's going here. And Bill being so honest, he's basically saying, this horse, I don't know, he think he needs a race. So the fact that it didn't handicap, and I know a million times the trainers have told me that, and the horse drew up by 47 lengths. So you don't know.
Yeah, fun race though, Fountain of Youth. That's the 3-year-old boys, the 3-year-old girls, race 11 tomorrow in the Devona Dale Grade 2 event, the 1-turn mile. I put On Time Girl on top. I think Brad Cox has a live one here coming out of the win in the Forward Gal. Wound up last season winning a stake up at Churchill, so comes in off of that win streak. She Be Smooth, though. Flavian Pratt and Todd Pletcher off the debut victory is interesting. Swing Vote for Bill Mott. Imperatrice also for Pletcher. Yeah. This is another fun group.
Yeah, I went with One Time Girl for all the reasons you just mentioned. I just thought that was so impressive in the Forward Gal, coming off the bench and just running well, coming in from Churchill Downs. It just was so impressive. I don't have to tell anybody out there if you like horse racing what the job that Brad Cox does. He's incredible with the horses, stretching out and whatever angle you want to see. Imperatrice is who I have in second for Todd Pletcher. I like him a little bit more than the other Pletcher in there. I think the race goes through them. I'm doing Beat the Host And that thing you bet $4,000. It's the last 5 races in Santa Anita for last 5 here, first 5 in Santa Anita. I'm trying to pick some long shots, and I keep going back to chalk. So I got one in the race, but I'm in agreement with you that one-time girl is the one to beat.
All right, and I always tell when I talk to you, people pull up the picks on the Gulfstream Park website every day. Ron has a long shot play, and they're always kind of fun to follow. And you have one maybe to take a look at in the very one race number 10 tomorrow on the grass for the ladies. Who did you like in the very one?
I'm going to go with the inside horse, Gallant Greta. This one from Mike Maker's barn. And what I did with this horse, I'm looking for a little bit of a price. I believe 12-1 on the morning line. If you go back and look at the horses race 2 back via Borghese, finishes second to no Sammy Joe. That's the favorite, I believe, in here. Who they're going to bet. Now comes back, and the horse doesn't fire in the Christophe Clement. I'm going to put a line through that. Just, a different kind of race. I like the cut back to a mile 3/8. And what I like is the Luis Saez is going to get aboard. I think there's enough pace in this race, and I think he sits behind there. He's a strong finisher. And, if you key off the race 2 back, and if you're a buyer aficionado, there's no one that jumps off the page that you say, oh, my goodness, I got to bet this. So that's why I went for a long shot here. And like I said, the 9 probably, is the one to beat in there. But I'm going to try and beat it with the 1. So that's my little sneaky on the card.
I have her in the mix as well.
Yeah.
I put her down. The Candy Quest is my top pick for Mark Cassie, the number 4 horse with Irod on board.
Yeah, I got that one.
And I think it is a race where you can play around a little bit. I think it's very competitive in here, where, as you say, no show Sammy Joe probably taking some action, but coming off a 7th place finish in the Christophe Clement. I love that you guys, named the stake for Christophe Clement.
Yeah.
That was and I called this stake the very one. It's actually the very one. Every year I love when this horse.
Yeah, we cut it out.
Because the horse was named the very one. So if you name the stake, it's got to be the very one. So.
Years ago, we had Vic Stopper was our track announcer here at Gulfstream, and he just did this ad nauseum to where we all got to hate it. The very one, and they turn for home the and you going like, it's the very one. Stop, Now to be correct, if you're an English major, I guess that's how you have to do it.
You got to go that way. Bringing back the ghost of races past. We were talking a little bit earlier with Wayne Bertrand. He came in and was handicapping. He said one of his favorite wagers down here now is that $3 all-turf pick 3. That's become kind of popular.
Very good. And it's 15% takeout and $3 wager, and it really pays the overlay is unbelievable. Pete calls it overlay city, right? So it pays fantastically. If you got an angle in one of the races where you can just use 1 or 2 selections, and then the ticket doesn't cost you that much, and I'm telling you, it's the best bet here. Especially like today's races, it's races 5, 8, and 10.
Yeah. So Wayne mentioned it because in the 10th, we were talking about the 10th race, which kind of seems like a fun race. And he said that was the last leg. Yeah. Like I say, and a lot of people, these larger increment bets, a lot of tracks have picked up. There's one at a lot of tracks that have become very popular because, you can find a lot of value there.
Yeah, we make it retail only, so that helps. And, the Coast to Coast Pick 5 is another bet that's picking up popularity. It's a couple of races here, a couple of races in Santa Anita, and they figured out that it's like in an hour and 40 minutes, and it pays exceptionally well. And when there's a hangover, you can tell where I've been. When there's a carryover, they send it in, So you got to watch it. And of course, the coast, then the pick 6 is the last 3 races here and the last 3 races at Santa Anita. I don't like that one as much as I like the tropical turf.
Yeah, as I say, it's become very popular, certainly. And Wayne was giving it a big
push. Yeah, Wayne likes the handicap.
Yeah.
He's got all those notes.
The trip notes and whatnot. Ron, again, appreciate the visit. As they say, a guest on your own set, but we appreciate the hospitality to be able to be here on your TV set for a couple of mornings, and again, taking advantage of the nice weather. So going to be tuned in today and tomorrow pregame, and as we are all year long, really, for you and Brian and Samantha. You guys do a great job. Always appreciate the pregame show and the paddock commentary and whatnot. So keep up the good work. Good luck on the weekend.
Yeah, I got to carry the kid Brian otherwise.
Good luck. Ron Nicoletti again. we appreciate the hospitality down here at Gulfstream Park, and you can check Ron and Brian and Samantha every day, as I say, pregame and pre-race as well. All right, I'm going to wrap it up. Handicapper Support / Racing Across America, a 90-minute mashup, and we do it all again tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. though tomorrow. Mark your calendar. We should kick off at 8 o'clock for the Fountain of Youth card tomorrow. Pete Aiello will join me tomorrow on the show, and I think Brian will come in and sit in tomorrow as well. We'll have some more taped pieces. Show it should be enough. Oh, and Steve Bick co-hosting Handicapper Support tomorrow, so it'll be a lot of fun.
I'm doing
tomorrow.
Steve Bick at 10:30 today.
All right. Yeah, he's over in the Horseman's Lounge doing a little radio. All right, we will wrap it up for this Friday. But again, tomorrow at 8 a.m., hope to see you. Enjoy the racing this afternoon. Nice card. Hopefully we gave you some nice ideas a little bit later on. So enjoy the racing this afternoon. See you tomorrow. We'd like to thank Gulfstream Park for their sponsorship of this program and some of the other programming and events here at Capital OTB. Gulfstream Park's championship meet features great racing now through Florida Derby weekend at the end of March.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off-Track Betting.